So as you guys probably already know by now, the Dark Sea update has released for Arcane Odyssey, which this video was originally going to be just a gameplay video, but I realized that my volume for my own voice was way too quiet, and there's not really any way I can change that. So I'm just going to be showing the footage instead, and I'm just going to have a voiceover, and I'm just going to be simplifying the things that have been added for the Dark Sea update, and I'm just going to go through the entire update in general, just in a simplified way. So the first thing that you probably would notice about the Dark Sea update is, of course, well, the Dark Sea. Originally, it was not accessible, but now it is, because, well, it's the Dark Sea update, adding a whole bunch of new things along with the brig. The brig is a ginormous ship that costs 20,000 galleons. It's quite expensive, and it has very high amounts of defense, and it's very recommended to have for the Dark Sea, as in the deeper levels of the Dark Sea, you'll get this thing called toxic water poisoning. I don't know. It's like a poisoning for water, and the only way you can really get it off is with the wash bin, which is, well, in the brig. There's a whole bunch of new ship attachments that are added in this update, which you can put on the brig, as well as new culverins or cannons. Not just culverins. They added new culverins, but many new cannons in general. A bunch of new ship sails, some new enchants, many new enchants, which I'll get onto in a bit. Many new things for boats, mainly the brig. The brig also includes many other things that all other boats don't, like a captain's cabin, which is where the wash bin's located. It also has its own cooking pot, brewing stand, jewel crafting station, aquarium, which you can put all fish that you want in there without it rotting in your inventory, a bounty board, an assassination contracts place area thing, and custom decal ID posters that you can put in the captain's cabin. Now, more things about the Dark Sea. It's mainly, it heavily focuses on randomly generated things, randomly generated islands, loot, enemies, and all that good stuff. The main thing that was added is the islands. Ginormous, big islands, or just small ones. They all have different, unique looks. Some of them are archipelagos, some of them are ginormous islands, some of them are like a little ring around like a body of water or something, and some of them are taller than Mount Everest. They all hold some sort of loot, which could be very good or not really great at all. Either you can get a couple of normal chests, or you can get a lot of dark sealed chests. Just like bronze sealed chests, dark sealed chests has to be opened by a shipwright. Along with the ginormous islands and randomly generated loot is also the enemies that you can encounter, such as mutated Atlanteans. These are basically sailors that have been lost in the rain, or the endless rain of the Dark Sea, and had their body parts, or body, or whatever in general, just mutated to fit the environment. And because so, their powers have also enhanced by a lot. The usual ones you'll get to see are things with magic, or weapons, which have also mutated, and Iron Leg. Iron Leg is one of the only fighting styles I've ever seen used from a mutated Atlantean. So, I don't know. I could only assume they can use different fighting styles, but the only one I've seen at the moment is just Iron Leg. Depending on how deep you are into the Dark Sea, which I'll get onto in a bit, can also vary how strong the enemy is. They can be level 93 to 620 or something. These mutated Atlanteans can also drop a bunch of other things that are exclusively from the Atlanteans, like Atlantean weapons, or pieces of armor, or Atlantean essence. As the Dark Sea has been added, there's also been these things called Atlantean items as well. Atlantean items can be randomly found or collected in chests, or by enemies, or by enhancing an item of your choice with Atlantean essence. Atlantean essence grants an item either power or defense depending on what it has. If it has secondary effects like agility or attack size, or secondary stats like attack size, agility, attack speed, all that stuff, it would normally just give it power, but if it already has power, it'll give it defense. The normal amount of defense it'll give for a really high level item is probably 97 defense, I've seen from one of my pieces that I've put in. And for a piece of armor that has defense already, it gave it 12 power. Along with those really good stats for just an Atlantean essence, it also gives 1 insanity. Insanity is a big thing that has been added, as it is basically just shown throughout the entire gameplay of the Dark Sea. as when you go deeper and deeper into the levels of the Dark Sea, you'll get more and more insanity, making the game less and less bearable. But hey, higher risk, higher reward, I guess. They also added new stats, which includes insanity, as well as warding and drawback. Drawback is only obtainable from Vatatros armor, which is another piece of armor or set of armor that's been added in the Dark Sea, and warding, which is also an enchant and also a part of another set called the Thurugist set. With the Thurugist set? I don't know. You can also get drawback from these new gems, which I'll get onto in a bit, called Painite. It gives high amounts of defense for the cost of 1 drawback. Drawback basically makes you take damage by using offensive abilities. So let's say you're a mage that has 1 drawback, and you use like a blast or a beam or an explosion or something like that that does damage. It'll do 50 damage to you. It also varies depending on how much health you have in general. The higher amount of drawback you have, the more damage you take for every offensive move. You'll take less damage the lower HP you're at, and it also depends on how much max HP you have already. Warding basically just lowers the intensity of the insanity itself, sometimes like stopping one of the effects completely for a bit, or just making the effects more bearable to deal with. 1 insanity isn't really that severe, and you can probably have a set with 1 insanity and be completely fine. So if you want to put Atlantean Essence on 1 piece of armor just for the sake of more power or defense, I will tell you, yeah, sure, go for it, because 1 insanity isn't really a big deal. But when it gets over to 2 and above, I'd say maybe add a little bit of warding. Now for the new enchants that they've added to the game. They added a bunch of new things, like overhauls of the previous ones, including like agile, which greatly increases agility, and it's basically the upgraded version of nimble. Or powerful, the stronger version of, well, strong. And armored, which is the stronger version of hard. The new tier 1 enchants, as they call it, just gives a bigger amount of the original stat as from what the original stat gave. Like hard gave like 54 power, and armored gives like 97. They've also added enchants that gave multiple, like hasty, which gives a little bit of attack speed and agility for 1 enchant. They also added item exclusive enchants, like enchants for only weapons, like tempered, dense, or ardent. Also, you can get these tier 1 enchant scrolls only from Dark Sealed chests, and they're exclusively to Dark Sealed chests. You can't get them from any other chest. And now they added the new exotic gems. These are basically better versions of the old gems, like how originally Sunstone, Rubies, and Zikron were really good for power, if you were really looking for power and stuff. But now they added better things. It doesn't give more power, but they add additional secondary stats, like Morencies, which give power and agility, or Candelarias, which give attack damage or power and attack speed. They also added ones like Malachite or Agate, which is exclusive with attack size. It gives defense and attack size, or power and attack size, and Painite, which I mentioned earlier. Now you have an even bigger variety of gems to experiment with for your armor build. Oh yeah, speaking of armor build, with these new additions to the Dark Sea update, your armor build can be absolutely meta. You can have a very stupidly high amount of power, defense, or attack speed, or whatever the heck, and yet you can just get away with it. There's like little to absolutely no cons to having such high power. Like, the most you can probably give yourself is like 1 drawback or 1 insanity with the inclusion of warding, and assuming that you have more than 1 insanity. You can go off charts with these armor builds, and you'll be absolutely busted to the point where stat builds don't even like matter. You can just have a really weak savant, but then you add that armor to it, and it literally just becomes God. Now to get on with a couple of things that I probably should have also mentioned. They have added a couple of new scrolls. Not just the enchant scrolls themselves. Those are cool though. But they added more abilities. They added 2 new or 3 new or whatever the heck frickin' weapon abilities. They added Flying Phoenix, which is a projectile ability for swords. Sparrow Thrust, which is a close-ranged shockwave kind of move for spears. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, also they basically removed the entire concept of ammunition. So basically, you just have an infinite amount of bullets and infinite amount of arrows. So go crazy, I guess. They also added some new scrolls for magic abilities, like Javelin and Surge. Javelin's garbage, first of all. Second of all, it is a spear-like projectile that you can throw at your enemy that is based off of your magic, like Explosion Spear or Lightning Spear or whatever the frick. Basically, what it does, it acts like a spear. You shoot it at the ground, and it sticks there. But what it does, it makes a constantly hitting AoE ability or effect. And it just hits over time, basically. It just hits. It's kind of like a pulsar kind of effect. It stays there, and it starts pulsing out the magic, and it just does damage like that. You can change how many times it hits, also. It's pretty bad. And then the next one that everyone was probably absolutely hyped for, the Surge. To basically simplify this in 2 words, it's Dragon Breath. You shoot out your magic in a flamethrower-like action, and you don't stop. It is so freaking powerful. I cannot stress this enough. It's too powerful. For one thing, it does meh damage for a millisecond, but it keeps adding on more and more and more. It hits so fast. Well, I mean, yeah, it's quite literally just Dragon Breath with your magic. And it can be really good with anything. With any magic. It's good with any magic. I'm just throwing that out there. It's good with any magic. You will be doing so much damage, it doesn't even matter how much damage you're taking. Speaking of which, your damage taken is reduced when you're surging, which makes it even stupider. Oh, and also it kind of like stalls the enemy in the air or where they're at, so it makes them it kind of like slows them down in a way, like when they're getting hit. So it's stupid. It's such a good scroll. If you get this scroll, you're dang lucky. If you're a mage, you better use that. I don't care what kind of magic you have, you better use that. And then now we have the scrolls for fighting styles. They added Uppercut and Salino. Uppercut's garbage, in my opinion. Basically, it's an uppercut. You thrust yourself up in the air with an uppercut, and you just fling yourself into the air as an attack. It also lifts up enemies with you. But as seen from the leak and seen in-game, it does not match. In the leak, it shows the enemy being locked into the attack and then getting completely launched up in the air higher than you. But in the game, you don't even launch your enemy halfway up before you go all the way up to your ending point of the uppercut. And the damage is absolutely pathetic. It's awful. It's even worse than Javelin. And then there's the Salino. Salino is basically just the shockwave ability for your fighting style, except you progress forward where your cursor's at while you're doing the attacks. It's basically shockwave, but 3 times better. You can change how many times you hit, and basically, yeah, you just increase the amount of damage you do. The AoE can vary, but it's mainly very big, so, yeah, have fun with that. It's very good. Very good. Very good. I think I've basically covered up all the topics for this update. I do genuinely think this is a very nice update. It really, encourages the exploration aspect of the game. But yeah, I like this update. It adds more things. It's fun. It's cool. I like it. I like the brig, too. The brig's amazing. Oh my god. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed that simplified version of the Dark Sea update. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything that you would think is noteworthy or worthy of me adding to this video. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. And comment down below, what should I do next for a video? And yeah, that's kind of it. See you guys next Sunday. We'll be going live as usual, 8 p.m. EST with the $25 gift card. All the usual stuff we do every other Sunday. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.